Welcome back to Plearn English Channel. I'm Mila, and I'm so happy to have you here with us today.
And I'm Evan. Thank you for joining us. Today's episode is all about something everyone enjoys and talks about every single day. Favorite food.
Food is one of the easiest topics to talk about when you're learning English. It's simple, it's fun, and you can practice describing flavors, textures, and feelings.
Yes, and food is also a part of culture. When you learn about what people around the world like to eat, you learn more about their traditions and lifestyle.
Before we begin, here's an interesting fact. The United Nations says that humans can eat more than 20,000 types of plants, but most people only use about 150 kinds in their diet. That means there are many foods we haven't even explored yet.
That's true. And even within those 150, people choose different favorites depending on where they live, what they grew up with, and what memories they have with certain dishes.
Today, we'll share our own favorite foods, talk about food habits from different cultures, and explore some fun facts you can easily remember.
And don't worry, the English we use today is friendly and clear. If you're a beginner or intermediate learner, this is perfect for practicing listening and learning new vocabulary.
Before we move into the main discussion, let me ask you something simple. Evan, what food do you think is the most loved around the world?
I think it's pizza. Almost every country has its own version of pizza, and people love it because it's easy, customizable, and delicious.
Many global surveys agree with you. Pizza, pasta, sushi, fried chicken, burgers, and curry usually appear on the list of most favorite foods worldwide.
Food really brings people together. Even if two people don't speak the same language, they can share a meal and understand each other.
Exactly. Food is a universal connection. So, let's start today's journey into taste, culture, memories, and simple English conversation.
All right, let's begin with our first topic, personal favorite foods and why they matter to us.
Now that we're warmed up, let's dive into our first big topic of today, personal favorite foods. Everyone has at least one dish they can't resist, one dish that brings comfort, or one dish that reminds them of home. So, Evan, let's start with you. What is your all-time favorite food?
My all-time favorite food is ramen, Japanese ramen. I love everything about it. The rich broth, the chewy noodles, the soft-boiled egg on top, the slices of pork, the seaweed, everything. It's one of those foods that feels complete in every way.
Ramen really is a full experience. So, why ramen? What makes it your number one?
I think it's because ramen feels comforting. When I'm tired, stressed, or just want something warm, ramen always works. Another reason is that ramen shops have open kitchens. I like watching the chefs prepare the noodles, mix the broth, and assemble the bowl. It's like watching an artist paint. Except the painting is hot and edible.
That's a nice way to describe ramen. Do you prefer spicy ramen or mild ramen?
Definitely mild. Spicy ramen makes me cry. Not the emotional kind of crying, the mouth is on fire and I'm questioning my life choices kind of crying.
That sounds like a very dramatic lunch.
It is, so I stay with mild ramen. What about you, Mila? What is your favorite food?
My number one favorite food is pad thai. I grew up eating it, and it always reminds me of family gatherings. I love how balanced the flavors are, sweet, salty, sour, and just a little spicy. Plus, the peanuts and lime make it refreshing.
Pad Thai is amazing because it's simple but full of flavor. And it's customizable too.
Exactly. You can have it with shrimp, chicken, tofu, or vegetables. You can adjust the sweetness or the sourness. You can make it mild or spicy. That flexibility makes it great for everyone.
Have you tried cooking Pad Thai yourself?
I have, many times. But let me be honest, it didn't always taste like real pad thai. Sometimes it tasted like noodles with ambition, but no direction.
I love that description. My homemade version would probably taste like sweet noodles having an identity crisis.
At least they're trying. Cooking is a journey.
Speaking of cooking, Do you think your favorite food says something about your personality?
Maybe. People say pad thai has balanced flavors, and I like balance in life. I enjoy things that mix well, different cultures, different ideas, different styles. So maybe that's why I like pad thai so much.
That sounds very poetic. In that case, what does ramen say about me?
Maybe it means you like comfort, warmth, and reliable happiness. Or maybe it means you really like noodles.
Probably the second one.
But I like how food can connect to personality. Sometimes people choose certain dishes because they grew up eating them. Sometimes it's because they discovered the dish during travel. Or sometimes it's just because it tastes good.
Food and memories are always linked. For example, the first time I tried ramen was during a trip with friends. It was a small, hidden shop. The broth was so good that I still remember the moment clearly. That memory makes ramen even more special to me.
Food tied to good memories always tastes better. For me, pad thai reminds me of weekend markets. My family used to go on weekends and we always ate pad thai from a small stall. The chef there cooked it in a huge wok and the smell filled the whole area.
I like how many favorite foods come from simple memories like that. They don't have to be fancy, they just have to feel meaningful.
Exactly. Favorite foods often come from the heart more than the tongue.
Let me ask you something fun. If you had to eat only one food for the rest of your life, would it still be pad thai?
Honestly, yes. Because it has carbs, protein, vegetables, and flavor variety. I could probably survive on pad thai forever. What about you?
I would pick ramen, but I know it's not very healthy to eat every day. Still, if we're talking only about happiness, yes, ramen forever.
We're making dangerous life decisions today.
Dangerous, but delicious.
Let's explore another angle. Many people say their favorite food changes as they grow older. Has your favorite food always been ramen?
No, definitely not. When I was a kid, my favorite food was grilled cheese sandwiches. Simple bread and cheese. But as I grew older, I became more interested in trying foods from different countries. Then ramen became my number one.
That's true for many people. When we're young, we like simple flavors. As we grow older, we appreciate more complex tastes. When I was a kid, I didn't like sour things, but now I love them.
It's interesting how the tongue changes.
Yes, and sometimes travel changes our taste too. When you try new foods abroad, your list of favorites expands. Do you have a second favorite food?
Probably sushi. It's fresh, clean, and full of variety. What about you?
Probably Korean barbecue. I love how it's interactive. You grill your own meat, wrap it with vegetables, and add sauces. It feels like a social meal.
That's the fun part. Some foods are not just flavors, they're experiences.
Exactly. And that's why conversations about food are always interesting. Everyone has a story, a memory, or a feeling connected to what they eat.
So, to summarize, our favorite foods, ramen and pad thai, are not just dishes. They represent comfort, culture, memories, and personality.
Well said. And now that we've shared our favorites, let's move on to something deeper. Childhood food memories and how they shape our taste. Now that we've talked about our favorite foods as adults, let's go back in time a little bit. Childhood food memories are often the strongest. Sometimes a simple dish can bring back an entire moment from years ago. Mila, what's a food that reminds you of your childhood? One of the strongest memories I have is kanji. It's a warm rice porridge. My grandmother made it for me whenever I was sick or tired. The flavor was very gentle, soft, warm, and calming. When I think of my grandmother, I think of her kanji.
That sounds comforting. Was it something you ate only when you were sick?
Mostly yes, but sometimes she cooked it for breakfast on cool mornings. I remember sitting at the table, half asleep, holding the warm bowl in my hands. It made the morning feel slower and more peaceful.
I love how food can do that. Slow down a moment. For me, the food that takes me back to childhood is grilled cheese sandwiches. Very simple: bread, butter, and cheese. My mom made it when I came home from school. I remember walking into the house and smelling the warm, buttery bread.
It's funny how simple foods often become the most meaningful. Not fancy at all, but full of heart.
Yes, when I was little, grilled cheese felt like magic. I didn't care about ingredients or technique. I just knew that it made me happy. Sometimes I try to make grilled cheese now, but it never tastes exactly like my mom's.
I understand that feeling. When adults try to recreate childhood dishes, something is always a little different. Maybe it's the environment, or the person who cooked it, or just the memory itself.
Exactly. The taste is part of the memory, but the moment is also part of the taste. Did you have any special food traditions with your family?
Yes. On Sundays, we usually had pancakes. It wasn't a strict rule, but it happened often. I remember helping my dad mix the batter. He always said it was better if the pancakes weren't perfectly round. He said the funny shapes tasted better.
That's cute. Did you make shapes on purpose?
Sometimes I tried making animal shapes, but they usually ended up looking like clouds. Very confusing clouds.
I think many childhood cooking memories involve accidents or surprises. My cousin and I once tried to bake cookies by ourselves. We added too much salt because we thought the spoon was sugar.
Oh no! It tasted like cookies from another universe. An unpleasant universe.
I think every kid has at least one disaster in the kitchen story, but those memories are fun when you look back.
True. And speaking of memories, I think childhood foods stay with us because they are connected to safety and love. When you're young, you don't think about calories or nutrition. You just feel happy when someone prepares food for you.
Yes, it's the feeling of being cared for. Even a simple banana or warm soup can feel special when you're small.
Did you have a favorite snack as a kid?
Yes, peanut butter crackers. I took them everywhere. School trips, parks, long car rides. If I didn't have them, I felt something was missing.
I had a similar snack. Mine was dried mango, sweet, chewy, and addictive. I could finish a whole bag without noticing.
Snacks are very powerful memories. Sometimes when I taste something from childhood, I feel like I'm suddenly 8 years old again.
Me too. It's like opening a door to the past. A taste can bring back a whole day, a place, or a person.
Do you think your childhood food memories influenced your favorite foods today?
Definitely. I love warm dishes, balanced flavors, and comfort foods. I think that comes from my family and their cooking style. What about you?
Same. I think that's why I like ramen. Warm, comforting, and filling. It reminds me of the same feeling I had when my mom made something for me.
It's interesting how our tastes grow and change, but some patterns stay.
Yes, childhood is like the starting point of our food story.
That's a beautiful way to say it. And with that, I think we can move forward. Now that we've looked at personal memories, let's look at something broader, what people around the world love to eat.
Great idea. Let's talk about global food favorites and how culture shapes what ends up on our plates.
Now that we've talked about our childhood food memories, let's look at the bigger picture. Food isn't just personal, it's cultural. Different countries have different favorite dishes, ingredients, and eating habits, and learning about them can make food even more interesting.
Absolutely. Food around the world is like a giant map of traditions and lifestyles. For example, some global surveys show that pizza, pasta, sushi, tacos, curry, and fried chicken are among the most loved dishes worldwide. But the way people eat these foods can be very different depending on where they live.
True. Let's start with Italy. Italian food is famous for being simple but full of flavor. Many dishes use just a few ingredients like tomatoes, olive oil, basil, and cheese, but each ingredient is high quality.
Yes, Italian cooking focuses on freshness. A classic example is margherita pizza. It has only three main toppings: tomato, mozzarella, and basil. Simple, colorful, and delicious.
And each region in Italy has its own specialties. The north has creamy risottos, the south has tomato-based dishes, and the coastal areas have seafood.
Moving to Japan, Japanese food is known for balance and presentation. Sushi, ramen, tempura. Each dish looks beautiful and has clean flavors.
I love how Japanese meals often include small dishes with different textures: soft, crunchy, salty, mild. It shows respect for the ingredients.
And then there's Korea. Korean barbecue has become extremely popular worldwide. People like the idea of grilling meat themselves at the table and wrapping it with vegetables and sauces.
Korean food also has a lot of fermented ingredients like kimchi, which not only adds flavor, but also helps with digestion.
If we look at Mexico, Mexican food has bold flavors: spicy, tangy, smoky. Tacos, burritos, quesadillas, and enchiladas are loved across the world.
Yes, and Mexican cuisine uses ingredients like corn, beans, chili, and fresh herbs. The combination creates bright and lively dishes.
And of course, we can't forget about Thailand. Thai food is famous for balancing sweet, salty, sour, and spicy. Pad Thai, green curry, tom yum soup. These dishes are known almost everywhere now.
I love how Thai food is fresh. Lime, lemongrass, basil, chili, and garlic create strong, memorable flavors.
And different parts of Thailand also have different food traditions. Northern Thai food tends to be mild and aromatic, while Southern Thai food is very spicy.
Another country with world-famous cuisine is India. Indian food often uses a mix of spices like cumin, turmeric, coriander, and chili powder. Each dish has layers of flavor.
Indian curries are so diverse. Some are creamy, some are spicy, some are sweet, and many Indian dishes are vegetarian, which give people around the world more options.
If we move to the Middle East, dishes like hummus, falafel, shawarma, and kebabs are popular. Middle Eastern food often includes warm spices and slow cooking methods.
I like how many Middle Eastern meals are shared. People sit together and eat from the same plates. It feels very social.
Then there's France, famous for bread, pastries, cheese, and elegant cooking techniques. French food can be simple, like a baguette with butter, or very detailed, like fine dining dishes.
French pastries like croissants and macarons are loved everywhere. Even small bakeries around the world try to make them.
Another interesting region is Africa. African food is incredibly diverse, but many dishes use ingredients like grains, beans, vegetables, and spices. Countries such as Ethiopia, Morocco, Kenya, and Nigeria have strong food cultures with unique flavors.
A great example is Moroccan tagine, which is slow cooked with spices, vegetables, and sometimes sweet fruits. The result is rich and comforting.
Moving to America, popular foods include burgers, barbecue, and pancakes. But American food is also influenced by many immigrant cultures: Italian, Mexican, Chinese, Japanese, and Thai.
Yes, America is like a melting pot of food traditions. Even something like a hamburger has many variations depending on the region.
Now, let's talk about how geography affects what people eat. Countries near the ocean often have seafood-based dishes because fish is easy to catch.
Right. And countries with cold climates often eat warm, hearty foods like soups, stews, and baked goods.
Meanwhile, tropical countries have lots of fresh fruits like mango, pineapple, banana, and papaya. They also use coconut milk and spices to create creamy and flavorful dishes.
Another interesting part of food culture is how people eat. Some cultures use chopsticks, some use forks and knives. Some eat with their hands, and some use bread to scoop food.
Yes, there's no right or wrong way. Each method reflects history and local customs.
And even the meaning of food changes across cultures. In some countries, eating together is very important. In others, people eat fast because of work culture.
Food also plays a role in celebrations. For example, in Japan, people eat soba noodles for New Year's Eve. In China, dumplings symbolize wealth. In many Western countries, turkey is traditional for Christmas.
And food traditions help people feel connected to their roots. Even when they move to another country, they often look for ingredients from home.
That's true. Food is like a language. You can learn so much about a culture by trying its dishes.
So exploring food around the world is not just about taste. It's about learning.
And with that, let's move to the next part of our episode, where we look at simple and useful English vocabulary and expressions related to food.
Great. Let's help our listeners expand their food vocabulary in a fun and easy way.
Now that we've explored food around the world, let's make things even more useful for our listeners. Let's talk about simple English vocabulary and phrases you can use when speaking about food in daily life.
Good idea. Food is an easy topic for practicing English because everyone eats. So learning a few basic expressions can help you start conversations naturally.
Let's start with one of my favorites. I'm craving something. This means you really want to eat a specific food. For example, I'm craving pizza or I'm craving noodles.
Right. Another common phrase is I'm in the mood for. It's similar, but a little more relaxed. Like, I'm in the mood for ice cream, or I'm in the mood for soup.
Here's a very useful one when you want to invite someone. Do you want to grab a bite? It means, do you want to eat something together? You don't have to plan anything big, just something casual.
That's a great expression for making friends. And if you want to compliment someone's cooking, you can say, this tastes amazing, or just, this is really good.
Yes, simple and clear. Another helpful word is leftovers. This means food saved from a previous meal. For example, we have leftovers from yesterday, or let's heat up the leftovers.
And here's one more, to go or takeaway. These are useful when ordering food. If you want to take the food home, you can say, I'd like this to go, or I'd like a takeaway order.
Great phrases. Now, let's add a few vocabulary words people often use when describing food. For example, sweet, salty, sour, spicy, bitter, fresh, crispy, creamy, and savory.
You can mix these words to make your descriptions stronger. For example, the soup is warm and savory, or the fruit is sweet and fresh.
Another simple tip is to use a little and very, like a little spicy or very sweet. These help describe flavor more clearly.
Food vocabulary is fun because you can practice it every day. Every meal is a small English lesson.
Exactly. And now that we've given our listeners some easy food expressions, let's move on to something fun. Interesting food facts that are simple to remember and great for conversation.
Perfect. Let's jump into some surprising food facts.
Now, it's time for some fun and surprising food facts. These are simple, interesting, and easy to remember. You can also share them when practicing English conversations.
Let's start with one of my favorites. Did you know that the world's most popular fruit is the banana? According to several food studies, bananas are eaten in over 100 countries and are one of the most traded fruits in the world.
That makes sense. Bananas are easy to carry. easy to eat, and full of energy. Here's another interesting fact. Honey never spoils. Archaeologists found honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that was still good to eat after more than 3,000 years.
That's incredible. Another fun one, tomatoes were once considered poisonous in Europe. People believed they were dangerous because they looked similar to toxic plants. But now, tomatoes are used in pizza, pasta, and many popular dishes.
Speaking of surprising things, carrots were not always orange. Long ago, most carrots were purple or yellow. The orange carrot became popular later because of farming experiments in the Netherlands.
I didn't know that. Here's a cool fact about chocolate. The cacao bean was so valuable in ancient Aztec culture that people used it as money. Imagine buying things with chocolate beans.
That sounds like a dream for chocolate lovers. Another fact is, apples float in water because 25% of their volume is air. That's why the traditional game bobbing for apples works.
And here's one more interesting thing. Popcorn has been around for thousands of years. Scientists found ancient popcorn in Peru that could be more than 6,000 years old.
Amazing. Food history shows how connected humans are to what we eat. It also gives us cool stories to share with friends or use when practicing English.
Exactly. And these simple facts help learners talk about food in a fun and confident way. You don't need complicated vocabulary, just curiosity.
Now that we've explored these fun facts, let's move to the next part. We'll share some easy conversation tips and short sample dialogues that listeners can practice.
Great idea. Let's help our listeners speak English about food more naturally.
Now let's give our listeners something they can practice right away. We prepared a few short and simple dialogues about food. You can repeat after us or practice with a friend.
Yes, these dialogues use the vocabulary and phrases we talked about earlier. Let's start with a very basic one about asking someone's favorite food.
Dialogue 1. What's your favorite food?
I really like fried rice. How about you?
I love pasta. I can eat it every day.
Easy and natural. Now let's try a dialogue for ordering food at a restaurant.
Dialogue 2. Welcome. Are you ready to order?
Yes, I'd like a chicken sandwich and a salad.
Anything to drink?
Just water, please.
Sure. Your food will be ready soon.
Very practical. Here's a dialogue for inviting a friend to eat together.
Dialogue 3. Are you free this afternoon?
Yes, I am. What's up?
Do you want to grab a bite?
Sure, I'm in the mood for noodles.
Great. Let's go.
Let's also add a dialogue about giving compliments on food because it's useful in many situations.
Dialogue 4. Wow, this soup tastes amazing.
Thank you. I used a new recipe.
It's very savory and fresh.
I'm glad you like it.
Now let's do one more. This one is about talking about cravings. Dialogue 5. I'm craving something sweet today.
Really? Maybe we can get ice cream.
That sounds perfect.
Let's go before it gets too busy. These dialogues are short, simple, and perfect for daily practice. You can change the foods, the drinks, or the situations to make your own version.
Yes, creativity helps you remember vocabulary better. You can also record yourself speaking and compare it with our dialogues. It's a great way to improve pronunciation and fluency.
And don't worry about making mistakes. Practicing regularly is more important than being perfect.
Exactly. Now let's move to our final section, where we wrap everything up and share a few tips that listeners can take with them.
Great! Let's finish the episode with some simple takeaways.
We've reached the end of today's episode on the topic of favorite food. We hope our listeners enjoyed learning new vocabulary, simple phrases, fun food facts, and useful dialogues.
Food is something everyone can talk about, no matter where they're from or what level of English they have. It's an easy and natural topic to start a conversation. And the more you talk about everyday subjects like food, the more confident you become.
Exactly. Today we talked about different types of food, personal favorites, dishes from around the world, and even some surprising facts. But the most important part is that you can now use what you learned in your real life.
When you go to a restaurant, you can practice ordering food in English. When you talk to friends, you can use phrases like, I'm craving something, or I'm in the mood for. These simple expressions help you sound more natural.
And don't forget the vocabulary words we shared, like sweet, salty, crispy, creamy, and savory. These help you describe food more clearly. You can even combine them, like very sweet or a little spicy, to sound more detailed.
And we also gave you some short dialogues you can practice. The best way to improve your speaking is to use English little by little every day. Even 5 minutes can make a difference.
Another useful tip is to listen to English while you eat or cook. It keeps your ears familiar with the language and helps you learn naturally, without pressure.
And of course, you can always come back and listen to this episode again. Repetition is one of the strongest tools for learning.
Before we go, we want to remind you that learning English doesn't have to be difficult or boring. When you learn through interesting topics like food, you enjoy the process more and remember things better.
We hope today's episode gave you both knowledge and motivation. Keep practicing, keep exploring new foods, and keep having fun with English.
Thanks for joining us today on Plearn English Channel. We'll be back with more easy and enjoyable English conversations.
See you next time, and don't forget to enjoy your next meal and maybe practice some English while you're at it.
Before we completely wrap up today's episode, let's give our listeners one more bonus section. We want to help you review everything in a simple and practical way.
Yes, a quick review can help you remember the vocabulary and phrases more clearly. Let's go through a short recap of the key expressions from today.
One useful phrase we talked about was, I'm craving. You can use it when you really want to eat something. For example, I'm craving sushi, or I'm craving something sweet.
Another helpful expression is I'm in the mood for. It's great for everyday conversations. For example, I'm in the mood for soup, or I'm in the mood for noodles.
We also practice vocabulary for describing flavors: sweet, salty, sour, spicy, bitter, fresh, crispy, creamy, and savory.
These words make your descriptions more clear and natural. You can also say a little spicy, very sweet, or really fresh.
Now let's do a short bonus practice. I'll say a question, and you can answer in your own words. First question, what's your favorite food?
Second question, how would you describe your favorite food using one or two flavor words?
Third question, what food are you craving today?
And last question, what food from another country do you want to try?
These simple questions help you build confidence. You can practice them alone, with a friend, or even say them out loud while cooking or eating.
Remember, you don't need perfect grammar. You just need to communicate. Every small step helps you grow.
We're happy you stayed with us until the end of this episode. Keep practicing, keep exploring new foods, and keep enjoying English.
Thank you again for joining us on Plearn English Channel. We hope today's bonus section helps you even more.
See you in the next episode. Until then, enjoy learning and enjoy your meals.